Welcome back to the Shxtty Kitty Kitchen. It is spiced carrot soup time. We've already got some bread dough proofing. It needs an hour. We'll be finishing that off a bit later on this afternoon. It's a caramelised onion, no knead tray bread. Be really keen to see how that works out. But in the meantime, I'm doing my usual Sunday meal prep cooking, and we're making a spiced carrot soup, and I've got straight into it. Now, I don't normally peel carrots, but for this soup I do. And also these carrots, they're still perfectly fine, but I bought a heap of carrots because they were a bargain, and I love carrot soup. I love pumpkin soup, but I love carrot soup more because it's not as dense, and the sweetness of the carrots and then the spices that we're going to put in with it, it's just a lighter soup. And so, you know, like, to have some yummy fresh baked bread on the side with it. Whereas pumpkin soup, I often would just eat the soup and not worry about bread. The link, as always, to recipes is in the description. I'm not simulcasting on 2 channels, which explains my poor attendance today, but that's okay. These are good little recipes that I'd love to have on my channel because, well, this one is. Although I'm not sure if this is a carrot soup I've made before or a different one, but I have made carrot soup plenty of times. But I stumbled across this recipe in my little pile of recipes I want to cook on the channel. So here we are. Now, it does suggest garnishing it with feta. I don't have any feta. I've got some yogurt balls. I've got some cream. But the crumbled feta on top is also a yummy way to garnish, posh up your soups a bit. And so the point of making this soup and the bread is that I'm going to have lunches for work sorted for the next couple of days, and I'll also be probably having this for dinner. And I might even come back a little bit later. I haven't set up a live for it to do like a little air fryer chocolate pudding in a mug to see how that goes. I've never made one of those before. But yeah, so we're peeling a kilo of carrots roughly. It's a bit under a kilo because I've used a couple of carrots for a salad. But if you've ever got a bag of carrots in your crisper and you're thinking they need to get used, this is a great way to do it if you're not going to make carrot cake or muffins or whatever. And it sort of sits with the plan on this channel to do as much sort of cheap and cheery cooking as possible. My camera's having a really... My camera's been a grump today. Let me just tighten that a bit. It's just sliding around. I hope everyone's having a lovely weekend. Whatever you're up to. We had a family gathering yesterday for 3 of our family members' birthdays, 2 in July and 1 that was in June. And I went for a beach walk with my niece and her puppy, which was so much fun before we all joined up for brunch. It's a really good day. It's a really good day. Have you guys watched the Wham doco on Netflix? If you were dancing to their music in the 80s, you really should. But I mean, I loved it, but all it's done is made me thirsty now for a George Michael doco. Maybe these lives are on private or something. I don't know. I usually get at least one person joining me. And I actually promoted this on my Smith Criminal channel. So people have got lives. What's going on? How dare you all get lives? God, this camera is truly having a moment. What's wrong with you, mate? Just sort your stuff out. Look at it, it's moving. He don't care. All right, we're gonna sort this out first before we continue. I'm too scared to move it in case it starts sliding again. Behave yourself. 1 carrot left. Maybe someone will join me when all the carrot peeling's done. It's not exactly the most riveting viewing. But, you know, doing it in real time gives people an idea of how quickly it takes to make things. And this is a really yumbo soup. If you love your pumpkin soup, try carrot soup. Trust me, you'll be amazed. You'll be like, wow, why haven't I tried that sooner? All right, we're just going to cut the ends off the carrots. We don't want those gnarly little bits and pieces. In our soup. I hope someone joins me. I much prefer cooking with company. I'm about to sack this camera. Is that on the move again? Wow. All right. Well, I hope someone at least joins me for the bread part 2 because I haven't made it before. Taking one for the team, having a crack at it. I actually thought people would enjoy having something to watch that wasn't about the Zavgirl saga. Boy, I was wrong. I really, if I went live right now talking about Zav, I'd probably have, 30 people. But here we are. Just me all by myself. I just checked I did hit the go live button. All by myself. It's actually getting really warm in here and the heating isn't on. The afternoon sun had a bit of heat to it. We've had some beautiful weather. You wouldn't know it was winter. Well, I mean, it's winter in Australia, but Tassie winters can be a lot more brutal than this one's been so far. So there's all of our carrots, and now I'm just going to chop them up. This is a hand blender, sort of, like a stick mixer soup, so you don't have to worry about the size too much, but obviously try to keep them consistent so they cook consistently, if that makes sense. Yep, the camera's moved again. My God, I don't know what else to... I don't know what to do with you. What is wrong with you? I mean, look, I respect you for having your own little personality, but you're really testing my patience. Can you just stay there? You got a job to do. Nope. I've tightened every possible thing I can tighten. It's just... Maybe that'll stop it. Little spin on its stand. Maybe that's what the issue was. It was actually loose on the stand, perhaps. Let's see. To the people who always come in and go, what are all the black things down in the bottom of the screen? They're cables. Let's try and get them out of the shot before any of those pedants arrive. I kind of feel like I have to keep talking because somebody might watch this replay. But by the same token, I feel really stupid just talking to myself. So, there's no point in me going, so how you doing? What's news? I've already told you what I got up to yesterday, hanging out with puppy Winston. That was fun. Although he's now known in the family as Bouffant after his salon visit, which he pretty much tripled in size after a blow dry. I think he's going to now always be referred to as Boof in the family, poor thing. Jemima might as well have just called him Buffhead, because that's kind of what his name is now. Maybe I should have called this Cooking and Crime. Let's discuss Zavgirl while I make Gavgirl. Let's discuss Gav while I make carrot soup. I think I'll simulcast the last cooking because the whole point of simulcasting was to get people to come over to this channel and subscribe. But it hasn't worked, obviously. I didn't need to set all this gear up in the kitchen. I could have just cooked. But for anyone watching the replay, thank you so much for making this worth my time. All right, so the carrots are now chopped up. They're ready to go. So we're going to get a big pan out of the pantry or out of the cupboard to make the soup in. I'm not going my biggest pot, but I'm going my middle sized one. I'm going to do most of it over on this element just because it's closer to the camera. Not that it matters at the moment. Where is everyone? Where's Joman? Where's Humanimal? All right, so we're going to start cooking some spices and bits and pieces. So the first thing we want to do is chuck a couple of tablespoons of olive oil in the pan. One of the reasons I love soups is A, they're really good for your body. Like, it's so easy for your body to digest them. Two, this is cheap and cheery cooking, and soup's a great way to get lots of veggies into your diet and affordably. But also for lunches, I just love having some soup and some bread. We don't get a long lunch break, so being able to just zap some soup and heat up some bread or have some fresh bread with it, you still feel like you've had a lunch break. But if you go out and buy lunch, by the time you get back to the office, your lunch break's pretty much over. And then you've just got to find time to sort of try and eat what you've bought in between clients. We're also going to add 50 grams of butter. In my opinion, when you add, like, the butter oil combo is always delicious. Now, 30 grams of butter is about the size of a matchbox. So I'm just guesstimating 50 grams, about that much on a, that's not even a table. Oh, no, that is a tablespoon. Looks good to me. Whack that in. And then we're going to add some onion. We're going to chop up an onion. Get my little compost bowl back for a sec. Now, this says finely chopped, but honestly, it's a soup that we're going to blend up with a hand mixer. So, you know, again, if your onion is cooked properly, it's going to get blended up. I don't actually mind chunks of onion in anything. I'm a big lover of the onion, but with a soup, if you're going to blend it, don't be precious about sizes and shapes. If you're going to be doing one of those veggie soups or minestrone or whatever and it's all chunky, well, sure, take time, but that's way too high maintenance for me. I wonder if I can add my other channel while we're live. Will it let me? Maybe. Let's see. Have I just learned something new? Taz. Maybe record. I didn't think I'd be able to. It has. Oh my God. That's cool. Wait. All right, we're on 2 channels. Maybe some more people will find me now. Let's see. I did not know you could add another channel halfway through. That's insane. Just going to crank that element up a bit to get the butter and oil melting and blending and all of that good stuff. All right, let's see how we go. So yeah, I'd look finely chopped. I mean, yeah, you don't want gigantic chunks of it, but just chop it up. You know, it doesn't have to be finely chopped. I'm a bit of a rustic cook, so if you're one of those people that likes to chop everything within an inch of its life, go for it. I'm just showing you the way to make stuff quickly and yummily. Butter and oil's bubbling away now. So we're just going to whack that in the pot. Thank God this thing is removable because there's always little things that slide down the side. But it stops things sliding down the side of my stove. So I'm happy about that. All right, and we just want to give that, oh, that's making me cry. I'm sad now. Lindy Lou, hello. I was just cooking on my other channel and no one was joining me, so I somehow worked out, well, I didn't somehow, I just worked out you can add another channel while you're already live. So I put it on Tasmania Calling too to see if it would bring some, you know, some people to the yard. And here you are. A couple of cloves of garlic. I'm actually using 3 because these are quite small and I love garlic. And I've got so much garlic in the house all the time, so. But butter, oil, garlic cooking, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, my work here is done. My favorite aroma in the kitchen. One of my friends here can't cook. She can't cook at all, really. She sometimes just puts butter and oil and onions on the stovetop, and her husband's like, "Oh my God, are you cooking something?" And she's like, "Yeah, butter, garlic, oil. We're going out for dinner." But she loves the smell of it. That's why she does it. I mean, she might make a soup or two. She's not totally useless, but you know what they say, way to a man's heart's through his stomach. Her husband gets very excited. Okay, so we're just going to crush the garlic into the pot as well. How are you? Oh, the recipe, so we're doing a spiced carrot soup. I'm not garnishing it with feta because I don't have any, but you can put cream. I've got little yogurt balls that I might put in mine, on top of mine, or I might just put some fresh herbs. And the link to the recipe is in the description as well. Over on Cheap and Cheery Cooking. Oh, no, it'll be on this channel now too, I would have thought. But yeah, it's delicious. I was saying at the start, the reason I love a carrot soup, like I love pumpkin soup and think it's, you know, one of the old-time classics, but the thing I like about carrot soup is I prefer it, in fact, because it's much easier to prepare the carrots. Like chopping up pumpkins is hard work. B, the sweetness of the carrots and then the spices that we're about to put in, it's just a really great combo. And see, everyone's always got a bag of carrots in their fridge they need to use up. So, yeah. Hey, Melmac. I was just cooking on my other little channel all by myself. I've already started proofing some dough because I'm making a bread shortly as well. And then I was like, maybe I need to keep simulcasting till people are aware that I've got a little cooking channel. It's Cheap and Cheery Cooking if you want to find that as well. And I'm just going to get my spices and herbs up. And, oh, wait, actually, I think I've got some fresh ginger. Hang on. Hang on. I'm running out of bench space. I have got some fresh ginger. So if you've ever got leftover ginger, and it's probably a good thing I'm using it today, just get some paper towel and dampen it and put in a little airtight container and it'll keep it fresh. Not forever, but for a long time. And another little trick. Yes, you can just slice ginger skin off with a knife or with a peeler, but I don't know if you know this. You can actually, I've already peeled a lot of it, but you can peel ginger really easily with a spoon. Just like this. It just sort of scrapes it off. So yeah, and the cost of fresh ginger now, if you don't want to waste any by cutting huge chunks of it off, then peel it with a teaspoon. I don't know if you can see it, but it works really well. Not with anything else for some reason, just ginger. I think because ginger is a little bit softer. I've got too many spices for a spice rack. I love my basket. There's nowhere, I have no room for a spice rack. Spice racks have like 12 jars. It's only 12:45 a.m. Yeah, it's usually Sunday afternoon cooking. I usually have my Aussie crowd in and a few people in America who don't sleep till late. A few insomniacs. We're just going to grate some of this ginger. I'm just going to cut the top of it off though, because I was cooking with it last weekend, so it's just got a bit furry, and I don't like the furry bit. And I've got my little ginger grater, which I love. It doesn't have holes to it, so you just run the ginger up and down the blades. It's a little doozy. This is about 2 centimetres of ginger, which, you know, depends on how chunky your ginger is and stuff like that. You just put how much ginger you like, if you like it at all. But yeah, there's nowhere for a spice rack in my kitchen. And because my kitchen, living room, dining is all open plan, like, don't get me wrong, I have got some cooking things beyond the kitchen, but I buy too many fresh spices. I buy too many herbs and spices. So I have my basket, which I love. But thank you for thinking of me, Lindy Lou. I did a live when I bought all my matching spice bottles and put all the little labels and stuff on there. It was fun. All right, so, I mean, that's how much ginger I've grated, but you just grate whatever you want. Whack that in too. Into the pot. Deliciousness. And yeah, go nuts with ginger. As little or as much as you want. There's other spices and things going in that I love more than ginger, so I don't want the ginger to overwhelm everything else. I'm just going to give this a few more minutes, just the onion's still softening. Now I'm going to just go out to my herb garden and pick some thyme, some fresh thyme. I will be back. My little herb garden's confused. We're all confused because our winter has been really warm, and I'm half expecting to see blossom. But yeah, that poor thyme, it's at the end of its term. It's almost dried itself. Yeah, I do have plans to get one of those drawers. I've been into Howard's Storage World. But it's an entire drawer. But even still, I've got something like 190 herbs and spices. So there's a lot going on. I hope it doesn't give you OCD trauma. Let me just put the tea towel on there before I put the basket back on. Look out, Lindy Lou. I mean, there is things like this jar of KFC mix. I made that actually on the channel the other day, and it doesn't taste like KFC at all. But there are a few things floating around on the top of this basket. But this basket is the stuff I use the most. And the other bar, they've got a little box as well. Yeah, fresh ginger's yum, isn't it, Mel Mac? Yum. Easy to make ginger ale. Peel and simmer a bunch. Cool, sweeten to taste, add sparkling water. Yum. That sounds really good. Speaking of really good, oh, this is pretty much cranking now. So I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. Not to high, but bit past medium, and just whack all the carrots in. Because they're going to take a while to cook, and I'm just going to mix the oil and butter and garlic and ginger and onions through there a little bit. But we want some cumin. I think my basket's super organised. Not cumin seeds, I want ground. Here she is. I'm going to put like 3 little teaspoons of the ground cumin. Oh yeah, ginger can be very unpredictable. It's high risk cooking. See, what was it? 3 teaspoons. I usually pull out the herbs and stuff I'm going to be cooking with before I go live, Lindy Lou. I'll do that in future so you're not traumatized. It's my little workout for the day. It's good for my muscles. Okay. Oh, and some thyme leaves. Now, yeah, these poor little thyme leaves out of my herb garden there. They've done well, but it's getting to the end of the season. I need to cut them all back and let them have a chance of regenerating. So I'll just mix the cumin through. It smells so good. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to pull the leaves off this time. It's pretty sad. I'll just pull off what I can. That's what she said. So tell me about your weekends. What have you been doing? Share your news. I was saying before I added Tasmania calling that if I'd put something like, let's cook and talk about Zavgirl, I'd probably have 100 people in here. I always thought about doing cooking and crime, but I can't handle the people that do their makeup, like Bailey Sarian, that do their makeup and talk about crimes and, you know, graphic crimes while they're putting on mascara and stuff. I've always thought it was just such a weird combination, and I think cooking is a bit the same. To be like talking about somebody being beheaded and then going, oh my God, this smells amazing. You know what I mean? Like, just keep mixing stuff through as you add it. We're just at the moment getting all the spices and carrots all just mingling together. We basically want to try and brown the carrots a little bit, but we'll see how we go. I mean, cumin is brown, so it's kind of hard to see. God, this is fiddly. Little thyme plant, you've served me well, but I think you need to be cut right back. I might just see if I've got any in my freezer, because they're much easier to... The leaves are just not coming off that. Well, some have, but I want more. Here we go. I always do this. I just tip whatever's fallen off in the freezer. It's like a little sage thing, you know, when you sage the demons. Demons be gone. That's actually just tipping at the bottom of that's added enough. Thank you, thyme. Oh, there's a hole in the bottom of it. Wait a minute. There is a hole in the bottom of that, but it's meant to be there. There's a little hole right there. The bread is close to reaching that. I'm going to just pop that into a little Ziploc bag and chuck it back in the freezer. Give me a sec. It does smell amazing in here, guys. That's why I don't think cooking and crime is a good combo. Unless I talked about Catherine Knight, who had her boyfriend's remains cooking on the stove to feed the children. But even that's a bit morbid. It might put me off my, it might kill my appetite a bit. All right, I'm just seeing if these carrots are browning. They are a little bit, but what we're going to do is get the stock happening, and I'm just doing stock cubes. I've used up all the stock in my freezer. I make my own. But part of cooking at the moment for me is using what I've got in the house. Because I reckon I could feed myself for 2 months on what I've got in the house if I rationed it a little bit. If I didn't make recipes with heaps of ingredients and use it all up in a couple of days. Just going to boil some water, groovers. So I can make our stock. You're not traumatized. You're hanging out washing. Yeah, I've got some washing to hang out when I finish this live before I do the bread live. Actually, what time is the bread live listed for? I will get to it when we get to it. I've got washing to hang out. I've got another load I need to do. How does this happen every weekend? Like it gets to Sunday lunchtime. I'm like, I've still got half a day, and then the last bit of Sunday just goes like that. It's crazy. All right, now if you wanted to keep this purely vegetarian, use vegetarian stock cubes. But I'm using chicken. Chicken salt. I usually have this brand, Massel, but for some reason, much to my absolute horror, I picked a salt reduced box, and this honestly, I probably should throw it out. In fact, I will. It's pretty close to because I just don't use them. I season all my food with salt anyway, but unsalted stuff just really annoys me. We're going to be making 1.5 litres of stock. So I'm actually going to use 3 chicken stock cubes. Shit, I probably should have used my bigger pot. I know it'll fit. Sounds similar to a southern recipe called copper pennies. Okay. So what is it, a soup as well? It's even like something like you could put Egyptian dukkha or just dukkha generally. You could sprinkle that on top of this soup with some sour cream. In fact, I'm going to keep this out because I love dukkha. Just yummy seed mix. Oh, it expired on the 14th of July. So yeah, I'll definitely use some of this. It's only 2 days late. Waste not, want not. The aromas in this kitchen right now, oh my yum. I mean, I adore cumin. I love all sort of Middle Eastern flavors. I do a lot of Middle Eastern cooking because it's just so bloody delicious. Still couldn't truly say the carrots are browning. Oh, as a side dish. So what is it? It's not a soup then, so what do you do? Tell us. Share it, Melmac. I don't know, it's like nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. Probably the last thing you feel like doing is typing out a recipe, but so we're just going to get this cranking. Hopefully when we reveal the dough in a minute, which we'll do while this continues to cook because it's going to need about 20 minutes to simmer while we hang out. and then we'll have a look and see how the dough's going, and then I'm just going to end this live. I'm going to have to do a quick kitchen refresh, so I might bump the next live. Mac, you'll definitely be asleep, to do the caramelised onion bread that I'm about to make for the first time ever. But I do need to do a quick little reset in the kitchen, but we can definitely have a look at the dough. I'll stay live while we finish the soup. All right, that water's as close to boiling as it's ever going to be. Now with your stock, you can be all pedantic and try and mix it all up and everything else, but the reality is it's all going to go in here and it's all going to get whizzed around. Like if you were using your homemade stock, you just chuck it in, so don't feel like you've got to spend forever breaking down stock cubes. Sometimes they're like concrete. Just whack it all in, and then another half a litre. Now, to be honest, if you didn't do a good job with your hand mixer, you could end up with some stock cubes, end up with a lump of stock cube, but I've cooked with these quite a lot and they break down. And then we just want to crank this up to get it up to boiling, so whack it right up onto high. No, I'm definitely doing a live. You simmer it till soft with ginger and a bit of cumin and oh, yum. So it's still carrots, they're still intact. Gotcha, yum. I love cinnamon as well. That sounds delicious. But yeah, Lindy Lou, I'll definitely be back doing the bread. It's pretty gorgeous. Like, have a look at this. This is what we're making. That. How good does that look? So I've already made the dough. I went live just to show people how easy it is to make this dough because it didn't need to be kneaded. It wasn't needy. Bread, your ultimate weakness. And then we're going to do some caramelized onions. And then we're going to put the dough out on the board. And that's why I need to do a reset, because I've got to dry this because this is going to be covered in flour to do it. And then we're going to actually slice up the dough, and then the dough slices are going to go in sideways into your dish, whatever dish you use, tray thing. And then we're going to top it. It's going to be beautiful. Looks awesome, doesn't it? I've never made it before, so all right, this is already coming to the boil. Well, it should, because the water was nearly boiling anyway. Help if I went back to the actual soup recipe. 20 minutes or until they are tender, and the easiest way to test is to see if you can crush one easily with the back of a spoon. Yeah, the bread looks amazing, and so far it hasn't actually been that hard. So that's just going to simmer till we can squash the carrots on the back of a spoon, essentially. So let me show you the dough. I'll just wipe the bench down. Because I am a little bit pedantic about things like that. So the dough is actually it was made with the OO pizza flour, not bread flour. And apparently it should have doubled in size. Let's see. Wait a minute. Everyone stand up for the national anthem. Australians, all let us rejoice. I'm absolutely thinking the bread on the side with the soup. Yep. So it's going to be my dinner while I watch the MasterChef final. And then I'm going to have it for lunch, for my 2 work lunches that I go into the office. I'm actually working on Thursday this week, which I normally don't work on a Thursday. So, but I'm working from home. But yeah, for the next couple of days, just for work lunches, perfect. Some soup and homemade bread, bring it on. And I've always got fruit lying around the house. So I'm so into blueberries. I just keep buying punnets, and that's what I generally eat. They're my favourite fruit. But this should have doubled in size. So let's see. has it doubled? I don't know. It's bigger. Yeah, it probably has actually. Nice work, dough. So that's going to be the next live I do, but I don't know what time I set it for starting, but if it was 3 o'clock, oops, it might have been 3:30, which is a bit optimistic too. This probably won't need 20 minutes because we had the carrots cooking away in the pot for quite a while. Might as well do some tidying as I go. Plus, my glasses have just fogged up. That's convenient. But yeah, I think dinner's going to be pretty. You've got the same bowl. Yeah, mine was my nana's and then my mum's, and now I've got it. I love it. It's funny, isn't it? You know, people that say to this day, you know, what would you grab if your house was on fire? And so many people still say photo albums, and it's like, why aren't all your photo albums in the cloud, dude? Things like my grandmother, that bowl, well, I mean, Sunny would be my priority, but if I had time, I'd grab that bowl too. Mind you, it'd probably survive it. It's moved around Australia with me in the back of my car and all kinds of stuff. You can tell by how it looks and feels. What are you talking about? When I was mixing the dough, I said, I'm really getting into making doughs because I like to mix things with my hands. But even when you're mixing a dough with a spoon, you can get just what you said, how it looks and feels. But I love that with making dough, you can tell what it's going to be like. Like when I made the donut holes, the dough was so light and fluffy. I'm like, oh, God, these are going to be so good. Yeah, I'd grab some of my recipe books, but I definitely grab my black book, which is the book I put all my absolute favorite recipes in. There's a couple that I really love, but one that I would definitely grab is Aphrodite, which is written by the actress Isabella Allende, The Love of Food and the Food of Love, because it's so hard to get the edition that I've got with the paper that it's printed on. It's really beautiful. It's so tactile. I'm tactile, and this paper's amazing. But I'm looking up at one of my shelves. I've got so many shelves of cookbooks. And, I mean, I could replace all of them, really. But I'd lose all of my little notations. I'd definitely have to grab Steph Alexander. She's been my companion forever. But, yeah, I'd grab a few, but they can all be replaced. But there's some things that I'd want to not lose for sure, like the mixing bowl. I'm just going to try the squashed carrot routine. In fact, while I'm doing this, while I'm waiting for the carrots to soften. Yeah, they've got a way to go yet. Let's get the hand stick mixer out. It's quite interesting. Like Lindy Lou will be familiar with these little gadgets. Yeah, I've got oldies and oldie goldies from my grandma's and my mum and even my great-grandfather. But most of the recipes, like I've tried to convert them to fan-forced ovens and stuff, and most of them are terrible. Well, I mean, they're not terrible, but they're just not things that I would eat on the daily. But in terms of looking at their handwriting and stuff, yeah, absolutely. I know what you're saying, Melmac. They are pretty precious. But yeah, these little stick mixers, when I use these, and I use this little guy a lot on this channel, I often have Americans going, what the fuck is that? I want one. Or is it English people? There's some country where this is not a standard kitchen thing. The stick mixer. So you've got your little blade down the bottom, and into your pot of soup she goes, and around she goes. I'm a sentimental, not so old girl, 56. I'm the same age as you. Yeah, we're not old. I'm 56 and a half. You'd go for all your treasures. You couldn't put prices on. I know, but I'd probably perish in the fire because I'd be faffing around trying to grab all the treasures. Your stock mixer or your stick mixer? Yeah, I mean, I really only use this for soup, but it's but I eat a lot of soup. I gotcha. I'm fluent in typo, Lindy Lou. It's my skill because I do typos all the time. But we've just got our carrots, like we're just boiling the crap out of them. It says to reduce it to medium and simmer, but I've reduced them a bit. But time is the essence. I've got bread I want to make. I hope I don't make a complete fool out of myself making the bread. Well, I mean, I kind of do because it'll be fun for you guys to watch. But I'm going to do it in a long, like not on a baking tray, like I'm going to do it in a baking dish. See, you're more the baker. You see, this is interesting because one of my friends told me years ago, they said, cooking is an art, baking is a science. I wonder if Sav Girl bakes because she's all about science, right? Anyway, wow. I cook, but I'm learning to bake. I do amazing chilled desserts. If you want a creme brulee, a panna cotta, a custard, anything like that. And cupcakes I'm really good at, but like actual cakes, baking, decorating, all that kind of stuff, not great. Your immersion, you call them an immersion blender. Okay, it might be in the UK where these are not around, although if you're a caterer, you'd have all the gear. I think it is the same thing, but in American, Lindy Lou. At least KitchenAids are KitchenAids the world over. Whenever we talk KitchenAid, everyone knows what we're talking about. Oh my God, I got trapped. I went on a Great Girls Weekend last weekend, but one of the girls in the group just is right about everything. And I swear to God, if I have one more person lecture me about why I should have a Thermomix, I'm going to lose my mind. I'm not spending $3,000 on something that I literally would only use to make phyllo pastry. In fact, I wouldn't. I would go to the shop and buy phyllo because phyllo is so hard to make. My chef friends all say that if they have a Thermomix in the kitchen where they work, they do use them to make phyllo because they make a great phyllo. But other than that, they don't use them really much at all. And yeah, I was being told once again that I should join Cult Thermomix, and I'm like, I don't want to. I never will. Now, if I was working full time and I had kids to feed and a husband and all of that sort of shit, or a wife, who knows? I mean, for me, it would be a husband, but you know, I'm trying to be diverse in my conversation. But a Thermomix, I could probably see the point in getting one, but you can also do shit in slow cookers. You can do stuff in pressure cookers, or you could just be organized and cook shit on the weekends, right? Yeah, yeah, exactly. Buy phyllo in the frozen aisle, exactly. And yeah, no Thermomix for me. Fuck that. They're a cult. And then when they do make something, you know, you're kind of like, well, for example, the girl who's got the thermo, she made the bechamel sauce for her lasagna that she made for the weekend. And she made the sauce in her Thermomix. And it's like, aren't they difficult to clean? Yeah, they are a bit of a pain in the ass. Yeah, well, guess what? I make bechamel sauce in a saucepan and it's really easy to clean. And also Thermomixes, they take, I mean, admittedly, I've got an air fryer on the end of my bench, but I love it because it's like a shrunken version of my stove. But I don't have space for it, and I don't like the look of them. Like, I'm quite happy to have a KitchenAid, the world's most expensive kitchen bench ornament, because they look gorgeous. And I do actually love my KitchenAid. I don't use it as much as I could. I try to use it. The goal was to do it once, use it once a week. and then it became once a month. A Thermomix, you'd definitely have them in the US. Yeah, it's a cult. Your sister. Godspeed, little sissy. I wonder if I open up another stream out, I can just bump the time of the bread, because I'm going to have to make it more like 4 o'clock. Let's see. I should be able to, because it's just sitting in there waiting for its turn. All right. Yeah, it's scheduled for 3:30. I'm going to change that to 4. But yeah, when she said, "I know they were a pain to clean because there's all these parts and blah blah blah," and I'm just like, "Well, make your bechamel in a pot." And she's like, "Yeah, but they are ugly. They're really ugly. I mean, they're trying to make them look prettier as time goes on, but they're still ugly." But I said, "Why don't you just make it in a pot?" She's like, "Because it's the standing at the stove stirring shit. Like, that's what the Thermomix has covered." Gee, these carrots are still like bloody briquettes. 20 minutes. You lie. Mind you, I am on one of my small elements. That's probably why. Is it an electric pressure cooker? No, it's it's this gadget that has pre-programmed recipes. I mean, it makes everything from dips to soups to curries. And it's just this insanely expensive party plan thing that sits on. Hang on. Oh, they seem to be a .com.au, or maybe that's just. Hang on. Now, they have tried to make them more. Yeah, they make cakes. They've tried to make them more visually appealing as time has gone on. So this thing you're looking at there, that's the most recent one where they've tried to make it look as, oh, it's more than so they're trying to make them look pretty. Unfortunately, like, where's a standard ugly one? There, the classic white. They have shrunk a bit since they first came out. They used to be huge. But yeah, imagine this sort of thing. Let me click on you. Oh my God, they're not even going to let me show you. There she is. So you can see them there. Look at them. But they do way more than a pressure cooker. Like, they've got pre-programmed recipes in the machine itself. So they're a bit like an Instapot in that regard. And then there's all these friggin' accessories that you've got to buy in addition, and they're already like $2,500, $3,000. So then you've got to buy all this shit, and there's like 9 pages. I'm not staying in the mix. 9 pages of merch to buy, like 9 pages of shit. I mean, look at the bamboo cake carrier. Seriously, get fucked. And then why Thermomix? Get to know it. Here we go. What does it do? Well, I'm glad you asked. So yeah, you've got your pre-programmed and all that stuff, all the different modes. It slices, it grates, it sous vides. It's a blender, it's a dough mixer and dough maker. It ferments shit. Yeah, they ferment if you don't clean them properly. Pre-clean, I'm not sure about that. Everyone seems to claim that they're a pain in the ass. You can do your eggs. You can use it as a rice cooker, slow cooker. You can thicken shit. It's a kettle. I didn't know that. A blender, a peeler, sugar work. It's got everything. And it takes up a mountain of room. But yeah, it's more like That's like a baby pressure cooker here. Just ask my sister. They make everything. Your sister's a goner. I think we all got scared when our mums put on their pressure cookers, for sure. I'm actually getting rid of it though because I don't use it. I've got a fast slow cooker, and I really only liked using it for the pressure cooker. But I've got a smaller Instapot, which I'm keeping, but I'm getting rid of because I don't like the texture of the food that comes out of the slow cooker. I'd much rather just slow cook it on the stove. But I do like that it's a pressure cooker, but I'm like, I've used it twice. Like, it's handy if you come home and you're like, I really want a curry, but I don't have the hours to make it, and then you just put it in a pressure cooker. They are kind of fun, though. So, yes, there you go. And I loved it. Yeah, they probably by American standards, they're quite small, but they're pretty bloody big and ugly, although they are trying. I'll give them credit. That black one, they do appear to be trying. Let me see if I can squash. Still not quite there. But it's also the other reason people are so anti the Mel is because it is a very cult-like thing. It's like Thrive. You know, at least Tupperware. Well, I love Tupperware, but the last time I had a Tupperware party, and I've only had one in the nearly 9 years I've been here, people went nuts and bought so much shit that I had like this gigantic box of stuff delivered here, and I ended up donating nearly all of it to charity. I just figure if I feel like, I have got some quick curry recipes now too anyway. Come on, cook, dudes. I'll jump over and start doing some of the dishes because I've got to reset a little bit. But mainly it's this area because I'm going to be making the bread. It does keep the heat out of the kitchen and doesn't use the electricity. Well, there you go. If you get your Tupperware from the salvos, people like me donating heaps. I got so much stuff, it was ridiculous. I was like, I'm not going to need 30 lunch boxes. Like, it was insane what I got. This huge box, and then a bag of stuff on top of the box as well, which is great. My friends all went absolutely nuts, but yeah, way too much stuff. But something like that, I don't mind. And a friend of mine, she started a little candle sort of party plan type thing, and she and her friend used to go around to all the op shops and get retro glasses and mugs and stuff, and that's what they'd put their candles in. They were really funky. Well, they're now in full production and they were ginkgo when they did her house parties as well. But that's how she basically got her business to take off. We do love a good thrift shop. Or they're also called op shops in Australia too. That's short for opportunity shops. So there may be a cheap, but they're not even cheap now. We've got a community group down here that's a free giveaway one, and there's so many things that I could try and sell and make money on. But I'm at the point now, it's like you haven't used it for a year. That's why you're getting rid of it. Just give it away. Because a lot of people can't even afford thrift shops now. And all the CEOs, even though they're charities for the most part, all the CEOs are driving around in European cars and stuff. But when you go in there and see things for like $300 and $120, like, it's terrible. If you're getting donations of that sort of value, there are other places, like there's a lot of upcycled clothes places now that sell brands and whatever. Move them onto them. But to have these things hanging in an op shop where that's where some people like fully rely on being able to clothe themselves, I think it's horrible that they've got things hanging in there with $120 price tags. Don't you? It's horrible. Anywho, This will make 2 litres of soup, and it freezes really, really well without garnishing at all. You can scatter crumbled feta, lemon zest, more thyme, fresh thyme if you want. You could sour cream it and just some cracked pepper if you want. I've got little yogurt balls that I'll probably drop a couple of those in tonight. Whatever you want. You found that too, Lindy Lou. Yeah, isn't it terrible? I mean, look, I love a rummage in a second-hand shop. I mean, I'd much prefer to buy stuff from op shops than buy it brand new. You can pick up some great stuff, and they're always fun if you've got a fancy dress party or whatever. And back as uni students, I mean, we used to go there to buy things for the house that we needed. Everything was mismatched and half broken and whatever, but now, you know, like some of these op shops, you're lucky if you can find anything in there for under $20. And the reality is people just don't have that sort of money. You know, they probably in the past could have bought 2 pairs of shorts and 2 little T-shirts for their kids to wear to school for $20. They'll be lucky if they get 1 item for that now. It's really sad. And there's so many crimes that are starting to happen now because of financial hardship, which is really devastating. You know, like family annihilator sort of stuff, which is just horrible. That people are getting to that point that they just feel like they're absolutely helpless, and there's nothing, like the situation is completely hopeless now. Like there's no options for them, that's the only thing left to do, and to take out their family in the process as well. It's just really heartbreaking. All right, there's going to be a bit of noise pollution. I mean, I could just end this live. Do you really want to see me? Because what I'm thinking is I might just let the carrots, what is it? It's 3:30. What I might do is I'm just going to let these carrots keep cooking a little bit longer and then give them a little mix with this. And I'll do the taste test later when I'm having it with the fresh bread. I reckon that's what I'm going to do, because I do want to do a little bit of a reset. And these are taking a little bit longer than I thought. But this soup, I mean, just the smell of it in the kitchen, it's incredibly yummy. And it's one that, for me, if I'm making soups, like I want ones that I want to eat over and over again. I don't want to make one that I have like 2 lots of it and then I'm yuck. Because I prefer to, I quite love having a pot of soup, like a container, an airtight container in the fridge until I use it all up. I usually will freeze 1 serving of it, any soup that I make. But when we were kids, we'd walk home from school 2 feet in snow. No, we would walk home from school and we'd be cold, and Mum would have like a pot of soup just sitting on the stove and just getting like a little mug of soup to warm up when you got home. It's such a lovely thing. Why'd it take so long? It's probably the element, I reckon, unfortunately. I thought it'd be good to do it closer to the camera, but it's come at a cost. And yeah, I've still got to hang out washing, put on another load. Even though we had a breakfast or like a family brunch yesterday for some birthdays, it's my sister-in-law's birthday today, so I've got to call her at some point. But I really want to make the bread as well. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end this live. Oh, that'd be awesome, Lindy Lou. If you make it, awesome. I fully understand. If not, Sundays are sacred, really. I just love it when people pop in and say good day, and you can always watch these back. I'm thinking I might start just making some videos too, because like this live has gone for an hour, and this soup technically should have taken like half an hour max. So, you know, I don't think people are going to sit through like an hour-long live to learn how to make carrot soup. Come on. But thanks for hanging out with me, girls. Sweet dreams to you, Mel. I reckon you'll be well and truly snoring when I come back on. But I look forward to seeing you both again really soon. And thanks to anyone who did watch the replay. I mean, I hope you had it like quadruple speed. But come back if you can. Not just, well, come back, Lindy Lou, if you can. But also anyone that can see me trying to make bread, it might be entertaining. Love you, Groovers. Bon appetit.